Okay, this is video number 3 for the 9mm. We're going to go over the selection of brass, the sorting and prepping of the brass. As I said in the earlier video, I sort my cases, but you don't really need to, especially at this stage. If you've got good quality modern cases for the exact 9mm Luger, which is what we're doing here, that's all that's necessary. Now there's a couple of issues. One of them is if your cases have very slight deformations. For instance, if the mouth of a case is slightly dinged, let's say you've shot them at the range and when it came out of your gun it landed on the edge on a concrete floor and it created a tiny ding. Those are not terribly relevant. They will generally come out in the resizing operation. If you see anything that's more significant than that in the way of pitting, if you see any really shiny area at the head, area where the head meets the body of the case that might indicate stretching or thinning, that would be a reason for throwing it out. But if you're shooting your own brass, you're collecting it, and you've not reloaded before, chances are it's only been fired once. That's the ideal scenario for reloading, especially as a beginner. If they're relatively clean as picked up from the range, and as you've collected them, not picking them up after they've laid in the dirt or weather for weeks or months, but if they're fresh to you, they don't even need to be cleaned. There are a lot of people that will tumble these. There are people that will also put them through some of the newer processes of sonic cleaners or stainless steel media that will make them truly brand spanking new, shiny in appearance. It's nice. If you want to do that, do it. I frequently tumble mine just because I like clean, good looking cases. They don't need to be cleaned unless they actually have real surface dirt on them. The surface dirt and the dies don't do well together. If you're using steel dies, the dirt can actually score the dies and ruin them over time. If you're using carbide dies, the dies are a lot harder than the brass. What you'll be doing is driving the particles of dirt into the brass and actually damaging and wearing out the brass faster. But if they're reasonably clean, a little bit of soot on them, tarnished, that sort of thing does not have anything to do with anything other than aesthetics. So if you don't want to do that, you don't want to clean them, you certainly don't have to. Even wiping them off with a rag is sufficient. Surface dirt is not a problem as long as you wipe it off. You could even put them in a pot on the stove. You could boil them, put a little dishwashing detergent in it, slosh it around. The temperatures of boiling water are way below the annealing temperature, so you won't change the characteristics of the brass itself from the malleability that's needed for reloading. Just make sure they're rinsed thoroughly, dried thoroughly before you proceed to reload. So to clean or not to clean is certainly up to you as long as there's no real dirt involved. Slight damage is not a problem. Sorting, again, there's absolutely no reason to sort unless you just happen to like having identically matched and finished cartridges of a specific brand's case. So with that, we'll complete the video on the cases, and we'll go next to the first actual production stage in your reloading, and that will be the resizing and decapping of the brass.